Welcome to Serenity Wealth Now with Chris Cooper. This is not your typical financial radio show. As a licensed CPA, insurance agent, and investment advisory representative, Chris coaches his clients on a holistic view of financial well-being with an objective of providing a complete financial strategy to fund life's goals. Chris is here to guide you down the path to the financial serenity you deserve. Now, here's Chris Cooper.
All right, good morning, folks. It is Mother's Day, and I love to do certain things on Mother's Day. It's a special day for me because I think about landscaping, and one of the things that I always did with my mom is do landscaping projects. We would plant flowers on Mother's Day. Her birthday is also around this time of year, so we would do these kind of things and these projects, and so that was something that I always thought was really cool and a way to spend time with my mom. So guys, if you have not thought about Mother's Day today, this is your reminder. Get out there and spend some time with mom. Give mom a call, bring mom some flowers, or do some kind of cool project with mom. And so in studio with me today, I have two brothers, Parker and Brock of Owleye Landscaping. Guys, how are you?
Good. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah? Well, thanks for coming in. You guys excited to be here?
Yeah, I am. This
Yeah.
is the first kind of attempt at something like this. And
Yeah.
we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, really cool setup too.
Well, thanks. So, all right. So give me a little bit of a rundown on what you guys do and what makes Owleye special.
Yeah, so we focus on landscape design and build projects. We do everything in house,
Yep.
and so what we try and focus on is kind of the creative aspect of landscaping.
Yep.
And so in the beginning, when we first started, it was I need a bush pulled or I need a couple yards of mulch planted.
Yeah.
But what we gravitated towards was, again, the creative project-based work.
Sure.
And so at this time, we're building outdoor living spaces, patios, retaining walls, and trying to do whatever we can to create kind of an artistic flair. So if we've got an opportunity to add a border course or a specific material that may not be as prominent, we're trying to integrate that into our projects. And kind of the way that I think about it is like hunters. They've got deer heads that scatter their wall. For me, that trophy on the wall is that final picture. It's
Sure.
that final photo. It's
Yeah.
like, man, we put 350 hours into this thing, and I get this one picture that kind of says it all.
Yeah.
And so Brock is the one that actually kind of brings everything to life, and he's the true craftsman.
Well, and Brock, I've spent some time going to the nursery with you for projects that I've done, and I love going to nurseries and just picking cool stuff out. And you know, we have a very similar eye. I like things that are different,
Yes.
unique.
Yeah.
So
A really cool Japanese maple that no one has. They only
Yeah.
have one at the nursery. That's the type of stuff that Chris likes to pick out.
Yeah.
But yeah.
it's fun. So, all right. So that creativity is something that I think that is very unique to what you guys bring to the table. What got you into doing landscaping?
I mean, honestly, I was going to school down in Cape Girardeau. I was working at a pizza shop, and I always kind of had the entrepreneurial itch. And my buddy came up to me and said, "Hey, me and my cousin are thinking about things we could do."
Yeah.
And I said, "Well, you could do landscaping, you could do junk removal." Thought about it for a couple hours, and I said, "I don't think you and your cousin are going to do it. I think we should do that."
Nice.
And so I knew I wanted to start something. I thought, hey, regardless of what business I'm in, I'm going to need to understand how to recruit, how
Yep.
to do the actual work, how to manage quality, et cetera. So I said, maybe landscaping's not going to be the thing I do the rest of my life, but I should start with something.
Sure.
And I didn't really know how to do anything, but that was something that I could pick up. And
Yeah.
so that's kind of how we got started in Cape. That was under a different company name, and then we moved back up here to O'Fallon, rebranded to Owleye. Lot of mistakes, learnings, but the one thing I do remember is after going to school, I was an econ major. I was a senior in college at that point. My first landscape job, sounds weird, but I walked away and I said, I learned more today than I've learned any other day in my whole life.
Right.
In the classroom, out of the classroom.
Yeah.
And I just love the problem solving that we were able to do on site.
Yeah. Well, that's
Yeah.
cool.
And then Parker came up here. I was getting my first car, and I really wanted like a Honda Civic or just something that was super gas efficient. And Parker telling me, he's like, "You need to get a truck, dude." I was all I was worried about gas mileage. I was like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna get 10 miles a gallon with the truck.
Yeah.
Ended up getting the truck, and Parker was like, "Hey, I'm just gonna borrow it a couple days a week."
Oh, nice.
And the
Well
plan,
played, sir.
Yeah.
Hey,
The plan wasn't even for me to do the work with him. He was just going to borrow the truck at first. But then once it got started, Parker needed lots of help. So it was like, all right, it just became natural that I was there helping him.
Okay.
And I kind of just got wrapped into it without even knowing.
And now this is what he does 7 days a week, 12 hours a day.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, and do you feel like it's work, right? And I talk to a lot of business owners who, same thing. Like when you think about it, 7 days a week, 12 hours a day, whatever. But does it feel like work when you're really enjoying it and it's your thing, you know?
If it felt like work, I mean, there's no way that I would be able to do this because out of college, I've worked at a prop tech company, and that was work.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's no way I could put in 12 hours a day, 7 days a week at that job. It really doesn't feel like work. I mean, it's what I enjoy to do day in, day out. I was at an interview yesterday, and I told him, he was asking, well, how much time do you put into this? And I said, all right. There's probably not been 5 minutes that have passed in the last 4 years that landscaping or this business has not crossed my mind. Like I'm always thinking about it when I wake up, when I go to sleep.
It's how it works.
And I think Brock's the same way, but
I mean, that's same with me. I honestly,
he is the same way.
Do so much, whether that's design or whatever. My favorite to work on is the design. So like your project, I mean, I love sitting there behind the computer, like what's going to make this look a lot better.
Yep.
There is times though, I can't deny that like it always is super fun. Like there is definitely times where it feels like, oh my God, this is hard.
That's work. Part of it, right? And I think that's the unique
part of
thing.
the thrill.
You're proud of it. But you also go, okay, when this is hard, like, what am I going to do?
You got to dig
Who are you going to
yourself
turn
out
to,
of the ditch.
right?
Yeah.
You can't just turn it off to, oh, you got a computer problem. Oh, let me call my IT department.
Yeah.
Who's the IT guy, right?
It's you.
It's you, right? Who's this guy? Yeah, that's you. You know, I've got to figure this out. Oh, that's you. It's okay. It's kind of part of it, but sometimes it's overwhelming, right?
Yeah. No,
it's good though. Every time we overcome something, it just makes it sweeter.
Well, that's how you learn, right? And I think that's an art that not everyone has in today's world. It's kind of lost in many respects, and I don't think, to your point, Parker, I don't think it was trained very well in our schooling system.
Yeah.
High school, collegiate, all of it. It doesn't prepare us for those kind of things, and we don't always encourage entrepreneurship either.
No. Yeah. So. I don't think so. And to your point, like, there are very much so are days where it is extremely stressful. But as Brock said, each time we can kind of conquer that, you only will inflate your confidence and understand that, hey, like we can do this. But
once you finally do it, it feels 10 times better than if you would have had no hardships along the way.
Right. All right. So what's been one of the most complicated, challenging things that you guys have experienced in the business thus far?
Well, let's see. We have the goal of 3Xing every single year.
Okay.
And we've done that to date. Yeah. As you could imagine, it gets a little bit harder each year.
Well, of course, right? Because you're trying to beat revenue a little bit more every year. There's a good growth thing. But at some point in time, it's like, whoa.
Exactly.
This is a lot.
It's a bigger number now.
Yeah. You start getting into year 4 and you're like, wow, we're going to have to triple that? Like, I thought we did decent last year. And so I think, for me, I almost picture ourselves as like caterpillars in the wintertime. It's like, we've had a really successful first year, but in the month of December, what are the strategic decisions that we need to make to 3X this business?
Sure.
And every single year, those decisions only get bigger, larger, more drastic.
Right.
This year, what we decided to do, we maxed out efficiency on our single crew. I mean, I don't think we could have squeaked out another project. I mean, we got every piece of equipment, every person on our team contributed to the nth degree. Yeah. And so what we decided was, well, we need to start kind of expanding. And so we need that second crew. And so I remember we made the decision, well, we just got the excavators and the skids, but we actually need another bigger excavator. We need another skid. We need a 32-foot long trailer. We need a truck that can tow 40,000 pounds. And so decisions like that can feel risky and daunting. Also because you don't necessarily have a team in place to fulfill or operate that equipment yet. Right. And so
well, some of it, that's the chicken or the egg, right? What do you do first, right?
Exactly.
Because you can't hire people if they don't have the equipment either.
100%.
But you got to buy that equipment before December 31st, though, too.
Yeah.
So.
Utilize Section 179.
Yeah, I love that. Oh, see, now you're talking my language.
Yeah.
No, I told you finance comes up on this stuff.
Yeah,
right?
it does come up.
That's why it was kind of like a hard decision because we were getting near the end of the year, and it's like, we got to get this shit if we actually want to.
Yeah, I don't think we've been quote profitable. We're an unprofitable business the last 3 years. But
well, you got to invest in yourself and you got to invest in your company, you know, and that's an important thing. People, and especially business owners, the biggest asset you end up having is really the business that you've created, blood, sweat, tears, all that stuff too. But it also supports for your family and your goals and your fun and all that stuff too. So it's a big deal. So, all right. So obviously some of those challenges are bringing that in, but you got, looks like maybe a second crew coming.
Yeah, second crew coming. I think it's easy to underestimate things when you haven't done it.
Yeah.
I've told Brock, it's like, once we get that second crew running and operational, I don't really think there's a big difference between running 2 crews or 4 crews. It's like once you have that process built out, it's duplicative. And so I think a lot of what I've been spending my time on over the last couple months is building in systems, building in processes. And I think a lot of times people say that from a broad sense, but it's like, what do you mean when you say that? Well, like for us, a big component of our work is quality control.
Sure.
The difference between a successful project and an unsuccessful project can be fractions of an inch.
Yeah.
And those are very easy things to miss on site.
Right.
And it's also even easier for somebody to miss that if they're new to the role.
Sure.
And so for me, it's defining, hey, what is the quality of Owleye? And then stupid proofing that. As in, nobody needs to do any brain work to understand what our quality is. So like, for example, we utilize Asana project management software, and I've been building out basically an automated workflow that assigns tasks and due dates automatically to the individual.
Sure.
And so if Braden's on site, he understands, oh, today I have a quality inspection on the base of the retaining wall.
Right.
And I've also got an individual that's trying out, and I have a feedback form that I need to submit to communicate how this tryout performed with Brock and Parker.
Steps along the way to make sure they were successful.
Yeah.
Building that plan
and
for
he
success.
just gets a notification on his phone, so it's super easy for him to follow.
Yeah. And I want it to feel like magic because I think that's scalable. It's like you wake up and you just see your task pop up and you're like, oh, this is what I need to do.
Well, and there's people that can follow tasks. There's people that need that discipline there. And there's people that can set that up too. So you got to know your own strengths and weaknesses, and you got to know that of others as well. That's part of being a business owner that has that scalability. And plus, there's certain things that I do that I don't want to just have to think about. I want it to be that set thing. I need a schedule too, right?
Yeah.
So you guys get that benefit of going, oh, yeah, here's what I'm supposed to do today. Right? It's okay.
Yeah. So I think sometimes I'll knock my brain. You know, I've sat in front of my computer for 8 hours. I look at it and I've got a couple sentences written down. So you can't go down the rabbit hole because some of these processes you're actually building out in real time. And so it's a fine balance.
I think that's part of the OCD.
Yeah, well, I get that. I'm a little OCD as well, especially with like we talked a little bit off air about branding, right? Like I am so proud of my Serenity logo, what that means, what that represents. And I know talking to Brock and like it's cool. You know, I go to nurseries with Brock and it's like, oh yeah, you're with Owleye. Like it's kind of a big deal. I'm like, he's kind of a big deal. I'm kind of a big deal because I'm here with him. You know, it's kind of cool. So
and everybody's going around the golf carts waving.
Yeah, and part of that's branding.
Yeah,
you know, and that's something that I think a lot of businesses don't like. When you go in and say, "Hey, you know what? I want to be in landscaping." Well, you don't think about processes for quality control. You don't think about hiring good people. You don't think about branding, because if you don't get the right branding and the right messaging out there, I don't care how good you are. You know, it doesn't matter what quality you have. No one knows about you.
Yeah,
right?
That was one thing that stuck out to me. And really in the very beginning, like I was thinking about a name, and the one thing I noticed was everybody's Derek's Landscaping or Kevin's Landscaping. I'm like,
nobody pops out. Nobody pops out.
How are you supposed to distinguish or remember that person? But I'm happy it was actually going to be Eagle Eye in the beginning, and then you find out the laundry list of businesses in Missouri that are Eagle Eye this, Eagle Eye
interesting.
that.
Yeah.
But I'm happy we went with Owleye because now it's something that sticks out. It's something that people and customer and vendors remember. And so that's kind of worked out.
Yeah. And then the big eye, just try and put that anywhere.
Yeah, I like it. No, and then, and you've done that along the ways too, more so and more so all the time. So how has been building that second crew? Has it been interesting, challenging in its own way?
Yeah, I mean a lot of reps. I think I've done. We've had about 40 guys throughout our hiring pipeline in the last, I would say, 2 weeks. Yeah. So it's just getting those reps in. Again, I think something that's kind of bit us in the past is sacrificing or making exceptions when it comes to our values, but we're not willing to do that anymore. And so what that means is, we see guys that are pretty good and very respectable guys, but maybe it's just not the perfect fit. And it's hard to say, man, this guy has got like 85% of what we're looking for, but he's lacking on that 15%. And the only reason we're not willing to make those exceptions anymore is just throughout experience. It's like anytime we have, it really is that 15%. It's that gut reaction that comes up and bites you. Now, it may bite you 2 weeks later, 6 months later, a year later, but at the end of the day,
it always comes back to haunt. Yeah.
And those things cost. At the end of the day, even if it is 6 months later, you've wasted 6 months of somebody else's life and quite frankly, yours.
And
too.
it's usually out of the blue, too.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way to kind of forecast it. It's just like all of a sudden it becomes a huge problem.
Yeah. I think, when we think about this year as we tried to scale, I mean, we've got punched in the face repeatedly, constantly. And, it's we have to be resilient. There's things that we had planned for. And frankly, reality doesn't care what plan you have. It'll take a completely different route. And I think kind of a good representation of that was one of my first ever, quote, landscape jobs. We were doing this hot tub removal in Cape Girardeau. $350. I was like, big money, baby. Here we go. Had a hairline crack in it. But I'm going to get in tangent. But basically, we were also going to sell it too. But we had this whole game plan on. I mean, I talked about this hot tub for weeks on end, me and my buddy Keegan. And I'll never forget it because we had a whole plan together. Again, probably put 40 hours into talking about it. The guys in the house were like, will you guys shut up about that hot tub, man? I'm sick of hearing about it. And when we showed up to this site, I don't know if there was one thing that aligned with the plan that we had.
Of course not.
Yeah. And so you have to be agile, and you have to have an opinion, and you have to solve the problem. And Brock's seen a lot of that this year. We've had a lot of things thrown at us, but the momentum is, you can start to kind of feel a build, and you know when you're sniffing on the right track. And at this point in time, I can say
it's starting to build back up.
Yeah, good. Yeah. Well, you have to have quick decision capabilities.
Oh my gosh,
too, right? Like, if you're one of those people that just kind of sits back and lets things happen to you, and then kind of gets that analysis paralysis kind of a thing, or like that deer caught in the headlights, like, what do I do?
That's the complete opposite of what you have to do. Because by the time you solve that, it's already a worse problem than it was. Yeah.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about marketing, branding. I know that that's important to you guys. You guys always wear your shirts and your sweatshirts, and I get it because, like, this is my typical, repertoire as well. So my wardrobe consists of my polos. That's what I do. It's nice. Then it's a business expense too, by the way. So because buying clothes sucks. Like, I don't like buying clothes, but I like buying my company stuff because it's cool, right? You're proud of it, and I think that's important. So, what went into branding? Was that something that you guys knew, or is that something that you grew into?
It's always,
or maybe came naturally.
It's always been one of my favorite parts of business. Because why not? I just get to
boast your own business.
Well, and it's cool when you really believe in it and you're authentic, right? Like, because it's not made up, and people know that stuff. Like, when you're proud of your work, it really shows.
Yeah, and I think your average everyday individual, they're pretty obsessed with brand too, and sometimes they may just not realize it. Like, if you speak with college students, how many, what percentage of their wardrobe is Mizzou athletics? Or it's like their version of Owleye and repping their brand. It's just maybe the university that they go to.
Right.
But for us, Brock didn't necessarily decide to go to college, and for me, I'm far more invested in Owleye as opposed to the university I went to, because this is entangled in my DNA, and so. Anytime we get the opportunity to brand ourselves, we do. Anytime we do something, it's very much our intent to be the absolute very best. And so whether that's a T-shirt, whether that's the wrap on the truck, we'll spend that extra time to really nail that and get it right, spend the extra money so we can be proud of it. And so I didn't usually think of myself as somebody that's creative, really, but when I was a kid, I always used to draw constantly. That was one of my only hobbies. And if I think about the only hobby that I have today is probably cooking. Kind of weird. Like, I love the plating at the very end.
He's a pretty good cooker.
I like
chef.
Chef.
Yes.
Yeah,
Cooker.
chef. Cooker sounds like you're doing other things you shouldn't be cooking.
Ultralight.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we'll just leave it at that, Brock.
Yeah, Brock, come on now. No, but I think, what I
That's
really...
a Breaking Bad reference for those that didn't understand that.
Better
Excellent
Call Saul.
show.
I love that. I watched it during COVID. What I was going to say was it's the plating at the very end where you kind of get to make everything look nice and such. And so if there's an opportunity to be creative, we will. And so like an example of that is like we'll do some branded T-shirts. And like even the one I'm wearing right now, it was one of the first shirts we got. And I was like, I kind of want to incorporate the messaging here. And so one of our first shirts, I managed the business from Miami one of our first years. And so we have the St. Louis Arch on one side of the owl combined with the palm trees in the back and the skyline. And then we've got an owl that's kind of holding a hammer. But I wanted to be a little bit more personal. And so based on the guy's role on the team, they had a different colored hammer. And so Brock's was a gold colored hammer. Our team lead, his was a silver hammer, and the other one was bronze. And so
I didn't notice. I've never noticed those details. That's kind of cool.
Another
That's
example.
his shirt, yeah.
I think Brock's actually got the hoodie on, but
cool.
He's got it kind of represents last year. It's kind of a sign. It's basically says fall, winter, summer, and it's kind of like one of those directional signs. And it basically for all the seasons that we had already conquered, those were nice and shiny and polished, but we still had the fall and winter time ahead of us. And so they're kind of rugged because we haven't got to them yet.
Yeah.
And so we also installed kind of the signatures of the guys in that logo as well. So
fun
anything
little
we
details. Well, and that means you incorporate the people that are part of the Owleye family as well.
Exactly.
Which is kind of cool.
That's pretty cool.
All right, so you guys do some also. I follow you on social media, and so there's a lot of social media noise and just crap messages out there, and so it's nice to see some fun stuff from time to time as well. And I gotta say, you guys have some pretty cool, fun videos out there.
Thank you.
Kudos. So one of the things that I like doing, like you guys do, like it's almost like a little bit of a dance with the machines at times, which is kind of fun to see. So see, people do listen and watch this stuff. So there you go.
That's good.
So whose idea is that? Who pulls that stuff off?
I mean, most of them are kind of like candid, I'd say.
Yeah,
I
which
mean,
makes sense, right?
yeah.
That's when they're the best. You do your best stuff when it's just kind of off the
it's just
cuff,
the guys
right?
are working, and then you just get a video of them. But we're actually kind of doing something new this year with the marketing.
Yeah.
We're kind of intentionally focusing on kind of building more of a story behind our marketing.
Sure.
Because right now, it's more of just random videos on the job site, kind of just like before and after pictures, but we kind of want to build a story, something that people can actually like hold on to or see. So that's something different that we're doing this year.
Well, when you're doing it though, but you're doing it and keep that creativity in there, and tell that story. But I think also, like you said, that on the fly kind of stuff, really it shows because it's that authenticity, right?
Yeah.
So,
And Brock posts also even outside of the company. He'll post like daily, just day-to-day life. So it's
the
kind of a
video
different
stuff.
audience.
But it's fun.
Do you see those at all?
Of course I do.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Maybe those are
I
the most...
see everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
The best views you get are the ones where you do the worst. So whenever there's a bad thing that comes up, it's a double-ended sword because you're like, hey, this is terrible, but it's like, hey, I'm going to get great views on social media. So like whenever I mess up, I make sure to get a video and I post it.
Oh, the blooper reels?
Yeah. Well, that too, and like dump truck driver accidentally dumps the wrong material. I'll post that, and I got like 11,000 views.
Oh, it's fun.
So,
Yeah, Brock had the idea of, he's like, it's going to get a ton of views. He's like, I'm going to break my arm on camera, and everybody's going to watch. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Just for some views.
It is though. So because conversations aren't perfect. They are imperfect, right?
Yeah.
When we have a discussion, it is never a perfect conversation, right? You don't know exactly what you're going to say. There's some pausing in there. That's normal.
Yeah.
When it's scripted, now you're reading. People know you're reading, and now it's not authentic.
You don't have the same voice behind it.
You don't, right? So it's just those natural conversations, and that way you're not going to be perfect, right?
Yeah.
And that's okay. That's why I like doing. I'm never perfect either. No one is, right?
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But we don't need to edit the imperfections out because that just says that you're not authentic.
People like to see who you really are.
And that's what makes a difference because people want to work with people who are who they really are, right? Not who they look like they're going to be, right? Like that doesn't help. So I think that's amazing. So
yeah, that's been big. And kind of unnatural. Even for me, it's like when you get in front of a camera, or it's funny, like
You
as
get
soon as that
nervous,
record
yeah.
button starts, nothing changes but the click of a button, but immediately you'll start to kind of get in your head.
Yeah.
Oh, did I say that right? Wait, I need to remember, did I hit this? And then you're recording the same thing for 50 minutes.
Whereas if I recorded same video without actually, if someone had a hidden camera, I'd be
Right.
like 10 times better.
It's
Yeah.
crazy how that works, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's kind of fun. So, all right. So you guys got any really big projects this year? I know you got one special one.
There's a special one. There's a Cottle build.
Yeah,
new
Cottle build. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
going to be a great one, I
Yeah,
think.
that one's
So,
kind of got a special place in our hearts.
Yeah.
It's
Good.
tucked away.
Good.
It's all hands on deck. It's
that's
gonna
mine,
be-
folks, just so we're all on the same page.
Yeah, Chris, you do have good taste. Brock was.
Yeah.
We've been kind of discussing the design, and anytime a customer can appreciate the fine details
Yeah.
and likes kind of going the extra mile with the materials, only makes us even more. I mean, we're invested in every
Yeah.
project we
Yeah.
do, but like, these projects we think of truly as our
It's like
own.
our own, like
Well, yeah.
child almost.
Well, it makes
Yeah.
sense. I mean, there's a lot of effort that goes into it,
Yeah.
too,
Yeah.
right?
So, yeah, I mean, one thing we did, probably the biggest move that we made last year was bringing on 3D design services.
Yeah.
And so, again, if we're going to do it, we want to be the best. And so we have a design process, and it's very personalized. And so essentially what we'll do is we'll sit down with the customer. Oftentimes the customer doesn't know exactly what they want. They show me a picture that looks like it was taken on a potato, and like, hey, this is kind of what I want. Explorer, you're like, oh, I don't know. So
Yeah.
what we've done is we've basically computed a list of questions that helps guide the conversation to kind of understand,
Right.
well, what are you looking for? What are you
Yeah.
looking to do with this space? And from there, we actually build out the entire project to scale online, in a piece of software. And
Yeah.
so the customer is presented with anywhere from 15 to 20 different renders.
Yeah.
They look real. I mean, sometimes it's hard to distinguish reality
Yeah.
from
It
the
looks
renders.
really good. I've been the recipient of one of these proposals, and it's pretty solid.
Yeah,
So,
thank you.
Those are good. There's even a crazier rendering because
Yeah.
that one I just did personally, but like the professional designers, they get
Oh.
really into it.
Yeah.
And
So
it's
we've got, depending on the project, we have a design team, and Brock's also capable of doing a lot of these
Yeah.
designs. But we become really invested at that point.
Yeah.
And so once we've got that final design and we're looking to close the deal, it's kind of part of us. And so
Yeah.
when we think about project we've got coming up, we do have a couple really, really cool ones I'm excited about. One is in Pacific, Missouri. It's I think it's north of about 1,200 square foot patio.
Okay.
There's a swim spa. There's a
Nice.
hot tub.
Nice.
There's decking integrated within the
Okay.
patio. The materials are top notch.
Very different materials throughout is neat
Yeah.
too.
awesome.
Yeah. It's going to be a fun one. And there's a special block. We like to be, again, anytime we can utilize and get materials that may be less prominent, we do so.
Yeah.
And so there's a specific block that's manufactured in Cape Girardeau. It
Going
only
back
comes
to
in
his
one
home
color.
roots.
Yeah, home roots.
Cool.
But we found it in Cape, and it's perfect for this project. So that's one that comes to mind.
Yeah,
specifically.
that's also a
personal
big
attention
thing.
is a big deal.
Is like kind of matching the material to what the customer wants, because you
Right.
can always go with like a unilock, which is extremely expensive, but searching for an extra 6 hours to find that perfect block in Cape Girardeau, which is a lot more cost effective, can sometimes be the differentiator in actually getting the deal or not.
Right.
Just kind of going that extra mile. Just to make things cheaper,
Right.
or just to kind of find a closer supplier and stuff, which sometimes is overlooked.
Sure.
Because it's not always the easy option.
Right. Well, yeah,
Yeah.
you can't take shortcuts. You got to do
Yeah.
it the right way, and I think that speaks to people. So,
Mm-hmm.
all right, wrapping up here, folks. So, I know your situation. I know you have a mom as well. So, give a
Yes.
shout out to your mother because it's Mother's Day.
Shout out right here from
Yes.
the Serenity Wealth Radio. Happy Mother's Day, Mom, from Brock and Parker. I think are we going down to Steelville?
We're going down to our country place in Steelville.
Nice.
Yeah, so that'll be a lot of fun.
There's a Mother's Day tradition for everybody. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
We're going to be outdoors, and she also likes landscaping.
I was going to
Yeah.
say, Garden Girl is a landscaper in and of herself. So,
Yes.
there you go.
Yeah.
So, it's in the DNA.
It is.
It is. Yeah.
Thanks for coming in, guys.
Appreciate it.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so key messages, folks. There were a ton of key messages baked into this discussion here, but let's talk about quality control, right? Making sure you have the right steps in place to ensure success. That's what a good plan puts in place. That's when you know a good plan is in place. You've got to make sure you have quality control steps in place to hold yourself accountable, to make sure you can enjoy the lifestyle you deserve, and that it can last your lifetime. Quality control is a big deal, whether it's in landscaping or in financial planning. It is important to make sure we have good steps to keep ourselves in the right checks and balances, right? All right, so final message, folks. It is Mother's Day. Get out there, enjoy the day, spend some time with your loved ones. Remember your mom. Moms out there, enjoy the time with the family. Take some time for yourself. And especially to my mother, Patty, thank you for everything you've done for me and continue to do for our family. Happy Mother's Day to you.
Serenity Now! This is Serenity Wealth Now with Chris Cooper. Request a free copy of Chris's latest book, The New Holistic Retirement, by visiting SerenityWealthNow.com.
Investment advice offered through Fortis Capital Advisors, LLC.